Welcome back, everyone. Today is another weekend special, and as you can see, we are back in Steel Division, though this time not on the Western Front in Normandy 44, but on the Eastern Front in Steel Division 2. So the more modern iteration of the Steel Division series. And I decided to play it a bit again, because Steilbrecher told me that the balance in like right now is actually pretty decent. It's obviously not perfect, but it's decent. And I kind of wanted to play again after playing Steel Division Normandy 44. Problem is obviously that in Normandy 44 there just isn't any like active players pretty much left anymore in the multiplayer scene, so not much you can do there. But Steel Division 2 still has a like decent amount of players playing it every day. And yeah, I decided to hop into Quickplay, which is a very useful thing to have, I think. It's pretty much ranked, but with the difference that your rank actually doesn't change, whether you win or lose. So makes it a lot easier psychologically to play, because in the end, obviously, you know, ranked like doesn't matter anyway, right? It's literally just a number in a video game. Nobody cares. But there's still the psychological thing of you don't want it to be too low, because you know it's a rank. It kind of says something about your skill, right? So don't want it to go too low. Could kind of be embarrassing. But here with Quickplay, it literally doesn't matter. And yeah, so I did jump into Quickplay with the 1st SS against 9th Cav. The UI on the right hand side will show up once the deployment is finished, if I'm not completely mistaken. Now the division matchup is a bit rough for me, because 9th Cav is the Soviet 9th Cavalry, that is like one of the strongest divisions right now. It was pretty shit for a long time, and then I think in the last update, or one of the last updates, they changed their infantry, because the infantry before was very shit. They had unique infantry squads, the Kazaki, so the Cossacks, and well, yeah, they were unique infantry squads that were just objectively not that good. But then they were changed to be actually useful, while still very cheap. So this division, like the enemy division, can literally just shit out insane amounts of cheap but very effective close range infantry. They are not the best at like long range fighting, but close range, they will just eat you alive. They have the most efficient tanks in the Shermans, like the Emcha, which is the, I think it's actually Emcha and not Emcha, but everybody pronounces it as Emcha because the people, well, obviously the English-speaking content creators don't speak Russian. So it's just the Soviet M4 Sherman and the Valentine 9, which, if you know anything about World War II, you would think, well, why is the Valentine 9 like so super insane? And also, if you played Steel Division like, I don't know, 3 years ago, like me, well, the problem is the Valentine 9 has been buffed, so it now costs only 35 points. It is very slow, so it gets to the front line very late, but it has like, I think 80 millimeters of frontal armor and a 6-pounder gun, which means that it has very good armor for something that is supposed to be a light tank, like actually exceptionally good armor. It has basically the armor of a Panzer IV, or even more, I think, and a gun that has good penetration and very high rate of fire for 35 points. That's absurd. And then you also get a good air tab. I think their artillery is also pretty good. They also have some special forces and recon tab that are, well, I mean, obviously in Steel Division we don't have anything that is forward deployed. Like, the concept doesn't exist, but they come in fast transport, so like, you know, forward deployed in this game is pretty much how fast your transport is. That's what decides that. And oh yeah, they're just a very good division. Now my division, the 1st SS, is also a pretty good division, but it lacks the very cheap light tanks. And light tanks are kind of the meta right now, so this is kind of bad. But my infantry is actually pretty good. The problem is just that it's also kind of expensive. So I will have to trade very efficiently. Now, one big difference for, well, the people that don't know about Steel Division, so, and maybe only watched the last video where I did Normandy 44. So the difference is that now it's not just about, holding, holding the map overall. It's about capturing those flags. So you see, we still have the front line, and if my unit, or our units clash on the front line, and like, for example, we fight here, his units are here, my units are here. My units win, his units will be pushed back, frontline will be pushed over the flag, so it will be my flag. And the one with less flags, his points will tick down. So it's like Warner, but the other way around. So like you aren't gaining points, you're losing points. And then obviously the one who is at 0 points first loses. Unfortunately, Quickplay doesn't have a time limit. That's from back in the day when Steel Division didn't have a time limit, which is funny because Steel Division Normandy 44 had a time limit, and Steel Division 2000, which was just insane. And by the way, back in the day, we didn't even have an option for a time limit. Even though there was a time limit in 10v10, they were limited to 60 minutes, but every other game modes didn't have a time limit. So I don't know what the fuck was going on there, honestly, but yeah, Steel Division 2 was honestly a pretty sloppy release. And to this day, you can see the cracks, like for example, here in Quickplay, you don't have a time limit. All the tournament games are limited to 50 minutes, but Quickplay doesn't have a time limit. So technically speaking, games could go on forever, but obviously at one point you will run out of stuff. But we can't see it right now, unfortunately, because, well, as I said, the game hasn't started. But I am playing Maverick, which means that I get my most income in B. So, as also described in the last video on Steel Division Normandy 44, the Steel Division series is cut out in like phases. Like the battle is like separated into different phases, so A, B, and C. It's the same as in Steel Division 44. So first 10 minutes is A, the next 10 minutes is B, and then everything from then on is C. And so Maverick has like decent points in A, a lot of points in B. It's 170 per minute, which for Warner standards would be not a lot, but you have to remember that like stuff overall here is cheaper. So like, for example, in Steel Division 2, 30-point infantry squad is already expensive. In Warner, obviously, a 30-point infantry squad is very cheap. So I get 115 in A, 170 in B, and then I think 80 in C. So kind of my... now the game has started. You can see it. My game plan is to push in A and B and then hold on for dear life in C, because my enemy has the balanced deployment type, so you can see 110 in A, 130 in B, and 155 in C. So for the deployment, let's go quickly over it. I've been rambling for a long time. Aufklärer going into this building, though I will reroute him, I think, into the forest patch there, together with a pack and an SG-33, which is a heavy support gun. Oh, well, you can see it because it's in a transport. Yeah, you can see there's a lot of quality of life that was added when they released Warno. But yeah, this is a heavy infantry support gun. It has 2,000 meter range, and this is kind of the make or break range in Steel Division 2. A lot is decided by the 2,000 meters because, yeah, this is the max range for a lot of guns. So if you have something that, this is the absolute max range a gun can have. So if you have something that has 2,000 meter range, that's very good because you can outrange a lot of other stuff. The grille here is basically the same, but on a mechanized chassis, which is going to the center. So you can see I'm heavily deploying in the center, also with an IG-18, which is a light infantry support gun that has 1,500 meter range. And I'm deploying heavily here because I wanted to take the hill, because if you have this hill, you have a pretty good power position over this road here, which makes it very, very hard for your enemy to do anything in this area, which then also means that he will have to push all of his reinforcements basically through here if he wants to fight for the center. Machine gun in the building there, two of the Flammenwerfer squads. Those are only 2-man squads, but they have actually 4 HP, which doesn't show you here because, yeah, well, rare. So those are going onto the hill together with the Volksdeutsche, which is a disheartened squad, which is like the reservists in Warno. And then Commander, and then SS Sturmgrenadier coming in. Again, I can show you the squad because it's in a transport, but it's very strong. On the right hand side I also had 2 flamethrowers. One went down because it engaged 2 enemy flamethrowers here at the same time. And now here I kind of traded 1-to-1 with the enemy flamethrower, but then I decided to smoke off and retreat because I knew that the other flamethrower just died, so I'm already at a disadvantage. Here you can see the SS Sturmgrenadier loadout is pretty insane, because they get 8 assault rifles, which are obviously very rare in World War II, and 2 machine guns. which means that they are basically like a Panzer Grenadier squad, but with the difference that they are also extremely good at like close quarters fighting. They're not super good at 100-meter range, but I mean they will beat any like most other squads at 100-meter range unless they're close quarter specialists, and beat basically any squad at 300-meter range. So those are very good for the city. Puma, also a very nice vehicle, like a light recon vehicle that is also very quick. Also have one deployed in the center, but they are a bit too expensive right now. Like 50 points is kind of much. And here you see one of the MHAs. The problem is I only have a light Pack 38 deployed here. And at this range it really has trouble doing anything against the Sherman. Some more infantry coming in here, though those are now kind of wasted because I thought that he deployed more infantry in this area. So I wanted to have my own infantry to contest that, but well, yeah, he just has an MHA sitting in the back there, and there's nothing I can do against it right now. But yeah, the town fight kind of going okay, though the Sturmgrenadier took a massive amount of damage, and that's really not good. My enemy though has a machine gun sitting in the open, so the Puma can engage it here for free basically, which is pretty good. Also had a Pack 38 deployed on the far right side, so that he wouldn't just push over the open here. Here my MG now gets pinned by the double M42 and the MHA. Also, by the way, one thing you see here instantly, look at this. Could you imagine that? A recon squad seeing a unit in cover. Wow, insane, right? Imagine seeing something. This is, by the way, one of the reasons why I wanted to go back to Steel Division 2, because it's just... oh my god, I just love it so much that I can put a recon squad somewhere and it actually spots something. It does its job. Wow, insane. So I have taken the hill here. I have pretty much eradicated the infantry yet there, which wasn't much. Now the problem is though that I don't have anything to like actually project the power over long range. So the two recon T-34s here, still stuck in Borno, but there's obviously not a T-64, this is a T-34, are rather annoying. Focke fighter bomber comes in, but misses his bombing run, also well, didn't do that much either way. I think it wouldn't have killed it either way, but it forces him to retreat. And the Panzer IV-J is already on the way. Stuck 3 also on the way into this area here to fight off the Sherman. Because the Stuck 3 at range is actually very good against the Sherman. My units here are advancing. I think I surrender his flamethrower. Again, mechanic that I think is very cool, because it just makes the infantry fight a lot more dynamic. So you can see the squads here are pinned down. In Warner we would now be standing here and shooting at each other for like another half a minute or even more. Well, realistically more, because Warner damage output of infantry is abysmal. But here I can just overrun him and surrender. Or he can fall back, as you can see here, which makes him lose control of the unit, but it runs away, which I think is pretty cool. Yeah, Panzer IV-J coming in, and engaging the M42 here together with the Puma. Now the Panzer IV-J doesn't have to fear the 45, but the Puma has. Luckily though, he didn't engage the Puma with the M42 and just engaged the Panzer IV-J. I think he still penned it though, maybe, or maybe he didn't, I don't know. But yeah, either way, the T-34s here are really annoying. Trying to get into range with the Volkswirtschaft because they have a Panzerfaust. But the Panzerfaust, yeah, no, I can click it again because it's routing. Only has 120-meter range, so I need to get very close to the T-34s. And because they're a reservist, like, what is it even called? Disheartened. They get routed very quickly. The Puma then gets a shot on the T-34, but gets routed instantly. Gets killed instantly, sorry. And then the Stuck 3 kills the T-34 but gets a gun jam. That was very annoying. And now I think it got killed by the T-34, which like at this range is pretty... like this is actually unbelievably unlucky. And yeah, now it also kills the Stuck. The Grille instantly, so this was actually going pretty badly. The IG-18 has a heat shell, which is pretty decent, but it bounces, which is kind of unfortunate. A 75mm penetration, so it has a decent chance against the T-34 here, but unfortunately just gets killed. And yeah, the Panzer IV here can't really engage the T-34, so that's not that nice. My infantry here has pushed through, but the problem of 1st SS is that you don't get a lot of infantry AT in. Like, your infantry is very strong, but your strong infantry squads don't have Panzerfausts. So in this case, I'm a bit struggling here in the city to fight off his light armor. And I kind of don't have the space in my deck for a Panzerschreck, which maybe I should kind of see whether I can fit it in, because it would be very useful. The support line here has died because he has a bunch of units here shooting at them. Focke-Wulf did get a kill on an infantry but got retreated after that. THS did come in and bomb my heavy infantry gun and the pack, but because this is a shitty TU2, like it's a good plane but it has a shitty bomb loadout, it actually didn't do much. Panzer IV-J here dies to the Sherman and to the T-34 and the Valentine. I don't know why, because I thought it got only penned once, and normally medium tanks need to get penned twice by other medium tanks to die. But here died instantly, so I guess the M42 did actually do some damage beforehand, which was rather annoying. But yeah, because now he's starting to use the TU2s, I am calling in my first AA gun. Yeah, 9th Cav also does have a very strong air tap. AA tap is, well, not very strong, it's decent, but yeah, the air tap is very, very strong because those TU2s are very fast and have very good resilience, so they don't stay in range of AA very long, and catching them with fighters is also hard because, well, they're fast. I have brought in a mortar here now, though I don't think I've shot with it yet. Now I'm targeting the Maxim, but the Maxim will die to the MG42 here in a very short amount of time. Maxim are pretty good because they're very cheap, but their problem is that they get outranged by MG42s. So in this case, yeah, just pushing it into the open was not a good idea. MG here, a little bit of an issue, because I don't have anything to fight it with, because as I said, my Panzergrenadier here are very good squad. Like, this is an insane squad actually. Now Panzergrenadier has, like, I think 7 Karabiner, 1 MP40 and 2 machine guns. This squad has 4 Karabiner, then 5 G43s, which is a semi-auto gun, which has a lot of damage output, and double machine gun. So at 500 meter range, this squad is absolutely insane. And it's also better at close range than the standard Panzergren. But it lacks the Panzerfaust. And as I said, I also don't have any Panzerschrecks. So in this situation, I am in a bit of a rough spot. Stuk 3 is coming in, but Stuk 3 against an MG is always a risky duel, because obviously the MG has a turret and the Stuk, well, it's a Stuk, it doesn't have a turret. And at close range, the MG also has a decent chance of penning. But the pack, together with the Panzer IV-J, doing a great job on the hill, killing another T-34. And together with the command here, those units are now really, really good. The Sturmgrenadier also pushed forward into the forest patch here and cleared out the infantry there. And you can see in phase A, I have already pushed him quite a bit. And now phase B is coming around, where I will get the majority of my points. Though he has forced me back a little bit now. But that's not too bad. Here I tried to bomb his command with my Focke-Wulf. Unfortunately, I got retreated by his double 37 mils that he has called in already. Also called in recon plane. Those are very, very useful, but it gets also retreated instantly. But this is especially useful in my opinion because it has also very good resilience, so it doesn't die to AA too easily. He now buys a Katyusha, and Katyusha's my forces here, which is a very bad idea because the Katyusha is just very, very bad. You can see it barely killed off this IG-33, which already had like only 3 HP left. So, and that was a full barrage. Nah. It's really meh. My Puma on the right hand side is now dead, and you can see overall I'm getting pushed very hard here because I'm really struggling to get rid of his light armor, and then because I can't get rid of his light armor, my infantry is in very bad positions, and then his infantry just overruns me in close quarters combat. And I also had to invest a lot of points into the left hand side to stabilize here. So that's why the right hand side has been falling. And I mean, I knew from the beginning that the right hand side would be rough for me because the town here is pretty good for his infantry and light armor, and pretty bad for my like expensive armor. But you can see now I'm calling in a Panther A because I thought, you know what, let's try. If I can keep the Panther at range, I still should have a decent shot at dealing with his units there. He now does a very good thing of smoking off this area, because my pack here was really being a nuisance to him. You can see he sniped the squad off here, for example. But if he smokes it off, obviously I can't snipe his squads anymore. I do get control over this flag for some time, which stops the tick. Yeah, in this case, by the way, obviously the more flags you have over your enemy, the faster the tick goes. Here he does a very weird thing. He pushed up the Katyusha, and it got sniped by the pack. I have no idea why he pushed it forward there, because I mean he must have known that there were units on the hill, because he already was losing units, so no idea what's going on. Here you can see this is the special forces or the commander squad I talked about. Those are insane in forest for 15 points. But here he pushes it on the edge of the forest, and yeah, well, the Panzer Grenadier deleted very quickly. Bombers coming in for the Kazaki PPSH also deletes it, and the Emperor is annoying. But remember, the Volksdeutsche have a Panzerfaust. And they're moving in, and he doesn't have any infantry here. Emperor, by the way, very good because it does a lot of damage against infantry. He spots it last second, but luckily the Volksdeutsche were able to get the Panzerfaust on target, because otherwise I would have been in very big trouble. He also tried to put his infantry here over the open in front of the Stuk. The Stuk actually killed off his command squad there, and is now firing away at this Kazaki here. And the infantry, like this one is very damaged, this one isn't though, and so I have actually more than enough troops left here to push back in. As I said, right hand side still not looking very good, but I do spot his command squad once again because it just has it open out in the open on the street, and so I quickly bomb it to take away his extra veterancy. The pack is still like finally died on the left hand side because it coded in TU2. And look, I mean, how fast it is. It was able to come in, bomb, and fly away before my Focke-Wulf was even at the front line. And those are very good fighters. His AA keeps being annoying. I did mortar it a few times, but it's still not dead. Even though it is within corrected shot range, so you can see the circle here is like the range of units with radios. Like for example, my command unit here. And in range of those units, artillery that also has the radio trait gets corrected shot, so their shots are way more accurate. Now I'm calling it a heavy artillery unit, so one of the SK-18s, which for whatever reason have been named to 105mm guns, even though they have a caliber of 100mm. Don't ask me why. I think this game is very cool, but there's just so many things that are just weird. There's also weird inconsistency in like the Commonwealth troops, where like a bunch of them have half tracks with the 50 cal, but the model is the 30 cal, and then other Commonwealth divisions have it the other way around, where the truck has a 50 cal mounted to it on the model, but the stat card says it's a 30 cal. There's a lot of stuff that's just all over the place. But gameplay-wise, the game is in a very good spot. Can't argue that in my opinion. Panther now engaging the Valentine, and while the Valentine is a very efficient tank, like this is the Valentine 3, so not the Valentine 9 I was talking about, this is the recon tank. It only has a 2-pounder gun, but I think it costs like, yeah, here is 20 points, but it has 80mm of frontal armor as well, and the gun, while not the best, it doesn't have any HE, it still has 75mm of penetration and 15 rounds per minute at no vet. That's pretty insane. But at this range against a Panther, obviously this Valentine was in a very bad spot, and the other one gets finished off by my pack. Infantry is still in a bad spot here, but more is already on the way. And now, with the howitzer as well, I will have some heavy fire support on my side as well. He's now trying to move his Kazaki over the open without any support, which is weird because, I mean, I know that he has a mortar somewhere. Yeah, it's firing right now. Shoots smoke off here. Yeah, no idea why he didn't use it to like get his infantry in. I called in a Recon Panther here to get some more control over this area, to make it even harder for him to get units into the center. Because I mean, I have control over this road. If I now have complete control over this road as well, he will basically have to drive his units over the field here, which makes it a lot slower, and into the forest. Yeah, city fighting here, one Volksdeutsche against I think 2 Kazaki squads obviously stands no chance. I mean, they are, I would say, one of the best disheartened squads still, also because they can be upvetted. But at the end of the day, they are still a disheartened squad, so, you know. And now some more infantry coming in. Here I decided to call in the squads that have no AT but are better against infantry, because I really need to get rid of his infantry. Between the Stuk and the Panther, I should have enough units to get rid of his armor either way. You can see Panther immediately getting rid of the T-34. Like, that's not a real issue, but the infantry is. And I don't want to get too close to the infantry, because some of them have PTRDs, but also some of them have AT grenades. And PTRDs can be annoying, but they aren't really that dangerous. The grenades are. They only have 100-meter range, but if they get into range, they're pretty much... I think they're always one-shot. So it's not like Warno, where, you know, AT launchers do different damage depending on like armor and penetration values. Here, like the only important thing is whether the shot penetrates or not, but if it penetrates, it always does the same damage, and infantry AT always one-shots vehicles. And yeah, well, here his infantry has now pushed over the ridge, but is now driving into the SDKFZ 2519, which is a nice little vehicle. I get my infantry command in, so this is a half track with a short 75mm support gun. Unfortunately, the Panzer IV-J here dies though. My infantry though holding very well against the Kazaki, pushing over the open, especially with the leader nearby. Those are they just have insane damage output. But as I said, it's just the thing that they cost 30 points, and the Kazaki with the Mosin, I don't think whether we have seen any of them yet. For example, they cost 15 points. The standard Kazaki, which are also a lot better than the Kazaki with the Mosin, they cost 20 points. So this will still be like 2 to 3 if we're talking about the same point value. And then together with the command, obviously Field would also have a command. If he gets into a good range, he could easily defeat them, but the problem is that he's pushing over the ridge without using smoke. And then getting into a perfect range where my squad can use all its weapons, and he can't use his PBSHs, so the close range SMGs. Also called in a Batterieführer, so this is an artillery leader. One of those units that were teased for Warno and then they just kind of forgot about them. So this is a special command unit for artillery that like specifically buffs artillery. I think they also still buff infantry if you put them next to them, but they also give specific buffs to artillery, as you can read here. Units decrease the dispersion of friendly artillery within the area of effect, but not for mortars and for MLRS. And it also, if like this is important for the Soviets, so if you use the Soviets, which a lot of the times don't have the radio trait on their artillery, they also give the artillery the radio trait. But it's not important for the Germans because they have radio trait on pretty much all of their howitzers anyway. And yeah, on the right hand side, I'm now slowly pushing back, but he just has a lot of infantry. I also put an MG in this forest patch here. Because I'm kind of, as I said, I played the game last time like 3 years ago, and back then you really wanted to have like 2 cards of MGs in all of your decks because the machine guns were very, very good. Now that apparently isn't such a thing anymore, but I think that's kind of dumb, because machine guns are still very good. Like you can see, I really melted down this Kazaki, which were in green cover, by the way, very, very quickly. And specifically for tank decks that don't get that many activation slots for the infantry tab, I think it's just very nice to have 2 machine guns in the support tab. In general, like the support tab of in this game is extremely important. Q2, by the way, came in here and I think it didn't bomb. But yeah, and also I think this is one thing gravely missed in Warno, because you had a lot of units were spread out among different tabs in Steel Division. So anti-tank, support, and infantry tab have kind of been compressed into one tab in Warno. It's all in the infantry tab, which makes divisional balancing so much harder. Like here in infantry, division can, for example, have a lot more activation points in AT or support tabs to kind of represent that they don't have many tanks but have other tools to deal with tanks, which isn't the thing in Warno. You get like 1 or 2 more infantry slots, maybe, with a little bit better activation slots or activation cost, but you have to spend that on more ATGMs either way, and then you aren't left with a lot of activation slots for actual infantry. And that's pretty sad, and one of the honestly biggest advantages of Steel Division compared to Warno. I don't think they will spread it out in at this point in time. In Warno, I mean, into even more tabs, but they just need to adjust the infantry tab in general for infantry divisions. And I also don't want, infantry combat to be the same as in Steel Division, because the Steel Division is a lot faster than in Warno. I don't want it to be like 1-to-1, but just make infantry do any damage at all in Warno. And like, please make recon a little bit more useful. Like, I beg you. I know some people will still be copying, oh my god, but then infantry divisions will be even worse. Well, no, they won't be if infantry divisions would have actually good infantry, or infantry would be good on their own. Because look at Steel Division, like, the game is not horrible just because recon can see stuff. Because obviously this applies for both players, right? He can also see my stuff if he has recon. But yeah, either way, the pack on the right-hand side here died, and I knew that he had forces in this area because I saw the frontline bulge. So you can see more infantry is being called in to deal with them and together with the IG-18 and the Stuk. The Kazaki here didn't survive long. They killed off the pack though, which was a little bit unfortunate. But overall, the push going fairly well. We are now in phase C, so you might think, well, that's not very good, right? Because you have wasted the phase where you were the strongest and haven't really pushed that far. But the thing is, obviously, units need to get to the front line and start to get their value back. So Maverick is actually very strong, kind of after phase B has already ended. It's very strong in the first 5 to 10 minutes of C phase, when all of the units are actually on the front line, have arrived on the field, and can start to do their damage. So I still have a window of between 2 and 5 minutes, broadly speaking, to get something going. And it's looking pretty good right now. I have reinforced this area. You can see another heavy infantry support gun has arrived, also a Pack 40, so better AT gun. Here I'm just moving my infantry over the open, which wasn't the best idea because he also has some infantry support guns in here and the T-70, which is one of those very efficient light tanks for 30 points. It is actually almost ridiculously good. The gun has APCR, which can penetrate even medium tanks at close range. The AP is also decent, and the HE, oh, I can't see it anymore. The range is decent, and its armor is 60mm, so it's also not the worst. No, in this case, obviously, it didn't stand a chance against the Panther, but yeah, also got in a second howitzer, so with 2 howitzers I should also have a pretty good chance of standing or surviving even longer in the game, because howitzers are just very good at getting their value back over a long period of time. It's kind of the same as in Warno, with the difference that most of the howitzers in this game are infantry howitzers, so they aren't mobile. I thought about taking the Hummels, but the thing is, those SK-18s are just very, very accurate. So this is why they are used a lot. And you can also take them at single vet, as I do in this division, and then upvet them to double vet, which makes them very good. And I take them at single vet because I also have the card of the Nebelwerfer, and I really don't need 8 artillery pieces between the mortars, howitzers, and the Nebelwerfer. So 6 are more than enough. Yeah, with my position on the hill still, me still having this position, I just have such a good position to fire support down into the city, into here. The fight in the center of the city is going fairly well. I have also finally called in units into this forest patch because I thought that, well, why haven't I done this earlier? I have complete control over this area. I can literally just drive in here. I should have also done it with the flamethrower infantry I had brought into this forest patch here and tried to move them over the open. I could have literally just drove them up here, and that was it. After I had resecured this area. The big problem in this game was honestly that because I haven't played the game in so long, I don't even know where the tabs are. So when I wanted to buy an artillery, I was clicking for I don't know, 10 seconds searching for the artillery tab. And then with the infantry, because the infantry has those super long names and they're all so similar, I had a rough time discerning which infantry was which. So I wanted to just buy in the flamethrower infantry, but I couldn't find it. I just didn't know which of my infantry was a flamethrower one. So I just bought in some infantry because I was like, fuck it, just, some infantry is better than no infantry. We can talk about the specifics later on. And yeah, that was a bit annoying, but yeah, well, that's obviously very normal after, I don't know whether it's exactly a 3-year break, but let's just say it's a 3-year break. Command infantry also called into the town because, should have called it in a lot earlier. It's just insane. This infantry is so good. I honestly love it. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a big fan, of playing SS divisions. Not because I think that, just because you play Nazi Germany in a game you are a Nazi, but it just always leaves a bad taste in my mouth because I know that there are a lot of people that do actually play those divisions to roleplay very horrible people, unfortunately. But at the end of the day, I know that I'm not one of those people, and the division is very cool. And I had a lot of fun in this game, honestly. Calls in another two Tu-2 bombers, kills a pack, but I called in a Focke-Wulf in time. This time also have a SEKFZ-71 in here now, which is a flak feeling truck, and the flak feelings right now are apparently pretty much one of the best AAPs in the game. So yeah, they just shredded. Also the flak here is still alive, another flak is coming in. Stuk on the right hand side is dead, but I mean, I am pretty much just wrecking him completely now. My infantry pushing him through. The 251-9 engaging the MK. The MK does not see it, though. I think it has a shooter killed crit or something. No, it doesn't. It literally just doesn't see it, I guess. Well, weird. But yeah, now the Panther and the Stuk also pushing around the corner, so they will finish this MK off very quickly. And you can see, yeah, we got hit by the Panther once and survived, so medium tanks survive one shot. Well, there's this 3 now is going to be a little bit annoying for the 251-9. But he didn't turn off the APCR. Oh no, he did. Also, one pretty cool thing about Warner with the different ammo types. Yeah, now I have the double tick actually going, so I will win in 6 minutes. And yeah, now more infantry coming into the center, and you can see I am using my the Batterieführer now actually to upgrade my infantry. And he surrendered. And I did outtreat him pretty like harshly, especially considering that his division is a lot more meta than mine. But for some weird reason, he wasn't using the Valentine Mark 9 that I was talking about in the beginning of the game. I think that really saved my ass, because the Valentine Mark 9s could have completely wrecked me. Pretty much anything except for the Panther, that like all of my units except for the Panther just lose to it, while it costs half as much as all my armor, or even less. So yeah, don't know what he did there. Also, pretty like not the most optimal use of his infantry, because my infantry is good unless it fights at 100-meter range. Then his infantry will be better. So yeah, still a good game coming back. Also, thanks to my enemy, he was very respectful. Also waited for me until it was finished. So that was very deploying. So that was very nice of him. And yeah, like look at this SS Sturmgrenadier. This was the one on the left-hand flank that pushed through. It killed so much stuff. It's honestly insane. Because as I said, at long range, they pretty much have the same damage output as a Panzergrenadier, because it gets most of its damage from the double machine guns. And then once the enemy gets closer than 300 meters, you have actually like a lot more damage output in a Panzergrenadier squad. And the double vet, yikes. IG-18 here didn't do that much, but I mean 2 kills is fine. I didn't macro my flamethrowers too well in the town. I mean, I did okay. I did push him back and then lose to the light armor when they came in, but still not the best thing. I mean, the Puma. The thing is, like, this Puma I think didn't even pay itself off, because the Maxim costs I think 20 points and the Valentine also costs 20 points for whatever reason. Even though, I mean, obviously it has a worse gun, but it has like 80mm of armor for 20 points. It's just insane, while being a recon tank as well. Jesus Christ. Like the Puma compared to that is just complete dog shit. Not because it's bad, but because it's cost 2.5 times more. And it's not 2.5 times better than a Valentine 3. It just isn't. This one really didn't do much at all, unfortunately. But again, the Panzergrenadier killing so much infantry. Yeah, not that well done by him. Panzer 4J didn't do fuck all. Killed an M42 and a Pipesha, and then died to the Sherman. Shermans are a lot better at brawling, but they will lose at long range because they just have less range than the Panzer 4. Pak 38 killed a T-34. That's a nice trade, because those Pak 38s are pretty cheap. This Panzer 4J though did very well. T-34, 2 T-70s, 2 OB-25s. Those are very good. The support guns in SE2 in general are very dangerous, so you want to get rid of them as early as possible. Also, the light ones that like only have 1,500-meter range, they have a very high rate of fire, so they can really suppress your infantry incredibly quickly. And yeah, the Volksdeutsche then getting their Panzerfaust on his tanks close quarters was a big mistake by him as well. Like, especially because he, as I said, he has infinite amounts of ridiculously cheap infantry. Why he wasn't just pushing forward together with them as like meat shields for the MH, no idea. Focke-Wulf did a good job for infantry squads. Pack killing the MH, nice. And then this pack killing a T-34 and the Katyusha. I mean, the Katyusha is hot garbage either way. Like, never take it. Just take. I think the 9th should have access to the Soviet 122 mil, which is kind of the pendant to the German SK-18. So no idea why you would ever want the Katyusha. It's like an off map but worse, and also using supplies for it. Bruh. Stuck did perform well. But as I said, if he would have had the Valentine Mark 9s, Stuck would have been in a world of trouble. I mean, you would still outrange the Valentine Mark 9, but it's not by much. It's by 250 meters. And if your enemy plays smartly around that range, the Stuck will pretty much always lose. Volksdeutsche again killing an MH, like he lost so many tanks to those Volksdeutsche for no reason at all. Panther, I think this is on the right-hand side in the town, getting rid of all of the armor support he had there. Because I did the thing where I pushed my infantry forward first and had tanks behind them, That does help. The motor overall only got 1 kill on the AA gun, but I mean that's still a good kill to get. I also did micro the mortar the best. I could have used it a lot more, if I'm being honest here. And then the howitzer, I mean, it's not the greatest kills, but killing an MH and then AA gun and a mortar is definitely good kills. And it also did a lot of suppression damage. This pack killed 2 Zis guns. What the hell? Those must have been snipes and transports on the right side of the hill, I guess. Probably. Most likely, even. Another machine gun doing a lot of damage. That's what I mean. I mean, those things still aren't. I can't remember the cost right now. Sorry, because as I said, I haven't played in a long time, so I'm not that worried on all of the costs. But the machine gun definitely costs less than all of those 4 squads here. So yeah, here's the other howitzer. It did come in later, so it only got 1 kill. But yeah, just nice trading overall. On the Lotsa side, the T-34 Razvedka in the early game really being annoying, and also, I mean, to be fair, it was extremely lucky that the other T-34 got a gun gem and the Stuk, and then this one killed it off at like max range. This is incredibly unlikely to happen. But I mean, that's the game. Sometimes you are just unlucky with the pens. But other than that, I don't think any unit performed particularly well. This T-34 killing a Panzer IV is pretty good because, I mean, T-34 is just cheaper. I think it costs 55 points. And the Panzer IV-J costs, I think, 65 or something. Yeah, Valentine. I have said enough about him. And I mean, look at this Katyusha. It literally got the one IG-33 that already was at like 3 HP. This is just no. And the TU2s also, I'm pretty sure you get 2 cards of the TU2s that have a better bomb loadout. Just take those. Or take only one of them in phase B or whatever, because like this is so bad. I mean, it killed 2 packs overall, but I mean, if you compare it to the other TU2, which you can't because it wasn't in the game, like the other TU2 in the same situation would have killed like 2 or 3 times as many units. So yeah, this TU also doing a good job, but came in way too late and didn't get enough value, because those are extremely good also against Panthers. But as I said, he just called them in late. You can see here it did kill 1 Panther, but at this point the game was just already lost for him. But yeah, that's it. I had a lot of fun, and I think honestly I'm going to play more Steel Division in the future again, because it's just, yeah, it's great fun right now. I really hope that they don't fuck up the next patch. I am going to cry if next patch is going to be ass, and I missed like the good times. But we will see, because the next patch isn't super far away, I think. But yeah, either way, I hope you liked this little excursion into another game again. And next one will be Warno again, don't worry. Might be a 2v2, because on the day this comes out, there will be another 2v2 tournament. So if there's going to be a good game, going to get another 2v2 game. We will see. Anyway, hope you enjoyed it, and hope to see you in the next one. Until then, have a beautiful day, and bye-bye.